Right, let's see what questions. There's a bundle of questions from previous weeks because we haven't done Q&A in a while. So I'll see which ones I can get through. And apologies if I don't get to your question, but it still stays on for future shows. I've noticed a ripple coming from the tentacle of the enemy and observed its results already. Social engineering is ineffective once people know about it and how it works. Any knowledge or ideas on a simple to understand explanation with examples of this to spread to the masses and take away the enemy's most powerful control mechanism? Well, that's what alt media is all about. There's been several ideas, not just from this show. Knowledge is power, and it's up to the people themselves to acquire the knowledge and to act upon it. But I don't see the need to add or create examples or further explanations. I think it's fairly obvious by now to all in the alt media that of the social engineering and the programs they run, and it's up to the people to act against it. There are two worlds, theirs and ours. Immigration will be from their world to our world, you have said. Is our world made by our plans for a new world in this reality, or by a paradigm shift in our consciousness? We have shifted in our consciousness. Not all people have, which is why the separation. But there's also a change in the frequency, and that will define theirs and our world. Does calling the Creator Source take away the loving human element? Not if you understand what source means, no. We are all source. We are the Creator spark. Source created humans and all the other species. So how can it take away the loving human element? Can't. What are deja vu moments? Have we really lived the same lifetime over and over? Some have, some haven't. Or possibly our whole life has been planned ahead of time and a sort of momentary window opens for a second and we sense for that moment. There's elements of that. In part, there's timeline shifts, and there's also an aspect of the multi-dimensional aspect of you, where you're interacting in different worlds. In the Protocol of Zion, it states that we'll never be one with the oneness of it all, because we know the secrets of the Absolute. What are the secrets of the Absolute? In my opinion, a load of BS that they told the Jewish people, a pack of lies, and have done since that book and its protocols. They've told the Jewish people that they're more special than everybody else, which is never a good thing to do. It creates hierarchy and it creates division. But I wouldn't be listening to anything out of that book other than to understand the heinous levels of how they look upon people, be it Jewish or the so-called Goyim, as they call it. A few of my people reacted negatively to the list that I sent them Sunday after your show. One said it was all disinfo, and another said that Robert David Steele was a good guy. Fine. Make no difference to me what people think. I put out the information and provide proof and evidence, unlike others who just spout words. But if people don't believe it, that's fine by me. It's their choice. Can you give us some hints as to how these alternative media people have hidden supporters and agendas so I can rebuff the negative comments? I've done it in several shows over several years. I don't really see what's new. I've been calling Steele out for the last 3 years. And if people can't make up their mind after 3 years, that's their problem. It's not it's not up to me to prove to them. It's up to them to find the information which I've given in vast droves. And if you don't believe it, fine. Keenan is CIA and Drake and Anna are pals with Neil. Is this a conspiracy of some kind? No, it's fact. Drake was still lauding Neil Keenan last week in his show, was he not? Despite him taking $30,000 to $40,000 off him, with no chance of him paying it back. What does that tell you? Oh dear. Will Kim give me my sole contract and deeds to my property held in a trust? No, it's not up to Kim. Your sole contract is your own. It's up to you to get it back and correct it. As for the deeds to the property, maybe at a later date something will be fixed to do with property. Who knows? You know, there's been a lot of skullduggery, and you can't pay it all back, everything they owe. Just can't. So the key is to move on of how we're going to improve what's going forward, not what's going back. Is Tank's group of members going to receive funding from the trust? That's up to Kim. It's not up to me. I am concerned that you have issues with attorney Paul Yokoyama and is charging to draft trust documents for the Create Change members. What happens in Tank's group is Tank's problem, not mine. I don't know why you're asking me these questions. Sorry. Saying the Anunnaki wrote the Bible, why are the remedies against evil pedophiles and black-robed pedo priests stating placing a millstone around the necks and drowning the demons? Like in every book, they have to put elements of the truth in for you to listen. That is why. Regarding the movie analogy, how many times can one watch the same movie? 6 currently. Perhaps time to change the script. Yeah, that's up to us. Only we can change the script. We're the directors, as it's our movie. Maybe "our" is a misnomer. Maybe there are no others. Maybe we're the only one here, and it's the same for everyone else. No, we're not the only one here. Not by a long chalk. You know, there's a tendency to forget, ignoring the fact there may, to some people anyway, I know differently, they may or may not be ETs or NTs below our feet. But aren't you, that question in and of itself is suggesting is only talking about humans. But humans are not the only life here. There's the plants, there's the birds, there's the animals. So we're never alone, one way or another. Where are we next? I'll wait for time. Is there any way to stop their harvest and sacrifice coming up soon? That would go down as operational, would it not? With the UK being a fairly small island, how and why has it been able to play such a prominent role in world events? Well, the very fact it was an island, and the European takeover of the houses meant it was separate from the body of Europe, and so it held elements of security. And of course, certain groups that took over the UK from the heirs in the past used it for their own ends. That's why you got the song, "And was Jerusalem builded here?" It says it all. That was from near 300 years ago. So of course it plays the prominent role and has done in, shall we say, more modern history, even though it was 800 years ago, when King John signed the Magna Carta, which some people in the alt media think is a good thing. No, it wasn't. It was selling the land over to the manor and the lords, and nothing to do with beneficial laws or land for the people. And it was essentially wiping out the monarch, and the lords and all the other nonsense took over. And King John, essentially, with signing that document with the Vatican, sold all the British people to the Vatican in return for funds to fight a war, a common theme throughout history. And so then the UK was at the beck and call of the Vatican, which then played a prominent role in the cult of Ra and the Kali Ma. Hope that answers your question. Since the trust owns anything, I'm sure I've answered this question 3 or 4 times. Trust owns everything and the banks are insolvent. Does this mean that real estate foreclosures are the property of the trust? No, it's still the banks. Technically, all property is owned by the trust, but until certain things take place, they think that they own everything, when in reality they don't. Is there a need to create a plan for the People's Credit Union? Not currently. Where are we next? Any intel on HR 205? If there was, it would be in the show. I know this is personal, but do you have any tattoos? No. And you asked for why. I don't believe in it. Personally, I don't think it's particularly pleasant to look at, but that's my opinion, and each to their own. One thing I would like to see is if it was up to me, I would ban anyone under the age of 25 having a tattoo. Why? Because most people make non-adult decisions, and there's many people who have had tattoos due to peer pressure at that age and regret it later. Where was the location Mary Magdalene, Vladimir crucified? It's Radomir, Radomir, and Mary Magdalene was not crucified. She was killed in Montsegur in France. Does Thomas think common law courts are worth pursuing? Yes, although there is a slight difference between common law and natural law. All being well in the future, we'll go back to one or other and get rid of this legalese BS. It's babble. It's not law at all. It's legal. Completely different thing. So it's good that people like John Darash is teaching it, and people should take that course that he does on his website. There's some interesting stuff in it. What happens to our beloved pets? There's many a way I can answer that, particularly one of them, or one type anyway. The same as everyone else. I think that's about it for Q&A. I know there's quite a bit of others. I've managed to get through quite a few, but I think that's enough for this week. Like I said, all the other questions that haven't been answered will stay in the show page, and we'll get to them at a later time. Right, let's have a music break before we go into sub-intel and also some intel.